Okay. So we're going to try this. I tried this earlier, but there was too much background noise. So I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Okay, yeah, we're filming. Why do they make things so complicated? He asked the Englishman one night. The boy had noticed that the Englishman was irritable and missed his books. So that those who have the responsibility for understanding can understand, he said. Imagine if everyone went around transforming lead into gold. Gold would lose its value. It's only those who are persistent and willing to study things deeply who achieve the master work. Well, that's part of it. You know, the dedication is important, but as we'll see. Okay, sorry. That's why I'm here in the middle of the desert. I'm seeking a true alchemist who will help me to decipher the codes. When were these books written? The boy asked. Many centuries ago. They didn't have the printing presses in those days, the boy argued. There was no way for everybody to know about alchemy. Why did they use such strange language with so many drawings? The Englishman didn't answer him directly. He said that for the past few days he had been paying attention to how the caravan operated, but that he hadn't learned anything new. The only thing he had noticed was that the talk of war... Hold on, there's something on my phone. Okay. The only thing he had noticed was that the talk of war was becoming more and more frequent. Then one day the boy returned the books to the Englishman. Did you learn anything? The Englishman asked, eager to hear what it might be. He needed someone to talk to so as to avoid thinking about the possibility of war. I learned that the world has a soul, and that whoever understands that soul can also understand the language of things. I learned that many alchemists realized their destinies and wound up discovering the soul of the world, the philosopher's stone, and the elixir of life. But above all, I learned that these things are all so simple that they could be written on the surface of an emerald. The Englishman was disappointed. Gosh, that was so beautiful. Okay, let's read that part again. I learned that the world has a soul, and that whoever understands that soul can also understand the language of things. I learned that many alchemists realized their destinies and wound up discovering the soul of the world, the philosopher's stone, and the elixir of life. But above all, I learned that these things are all so simple that they can be written on the surface of an emerald. The Englishman was disappointed. The years of research, the magic symbols, the strange words, and the laboratory equipment, none of this had made an impression on the boy. Carter, I'm sorry, it's so funny because they're saying the same things, but they're each speaking their own language, but they're talking about the same language. It's so... Oh gosh, this book is so brilliant. And none of this had made an impression on the boy. His soul must be too primitive, and any judges, to understand those things, he thought. That was ego. That's ego right there. He took back his books and packed them away again in their bags. Go back to watching the caravan, he said. That didn't teach me anything either. Oh, gosh, they're so cute together. The boy went back to contemplating the silence of the desert and the sand raised by the animals. Everyone has his or her own way of learning things, he said to himself. His way isn't the same as mine, nor mine as his, but we're both in search of our destinies, and I respect him for that. Okay, 5 minutes. The caravan began to travel day and night. The hooded Bedouins reappeared more and more frequently, and the camel driver, who became a good friend of the boys, explained that the war between the tribes had already begun. The caravan would be very lucky to reach the oasis. The animals were exhausted. The men talked among themselves less and less. The silence was the worst aspect of the night, when the mere groan of a camel, which before had been nothing but the groan of a camel, now frightened everyone because it might be a signal of a raid. The camel driver, though, seemed not to be very concerned with the threat of war. "I'm alive," he said to the boy as they ate a bunch of dates one night, "with no fires and no moon. When I'm eating, that's all I think about. If I'm on the march, I just concentrate on marching. If I have to fight, it will be just as good a day to die as any other. Because I don't live in either my past or my future. I'm interested only in the present. If you can concentrate always on the present, you'll be a happy man. You'll see that there is a life in the desert, and that there are stars in the heavens, and that tribes, men fight because they are part of the human race. Life will be a party for you, a grand festival, because life is the moment. We're living it right now." 2 nights later, as he was getting ready to bed down, the boy looked for the star they had followed every night. He thought that the horizon was a bit lower than it had been, because he seemed to see stars on the desert itself. "It's the oasis," said the camel driver. "Well, why don't we go there right now?" the boy asked. "Because we have to sleep." The boy awoke as the sun rose. There in front of him were where the small stars had been the night before was an endless row of date palms stretching across the entire desert. "We've done it," said the Englishman, who had also awakened early. But the boy was quiet. He was at home with the silence of the desert, as he was content just to look at the trees. He still had a long way to go to reach the pyramids, and someday this morning would be just a memory. But this was the present moment, the party the camel driver had mentioned, and he wanted to live in it as he did the lessons of the past and his dreams of the future. Although the vision of the date palms would someday just be a memory, right now it signified shade, water, and refuge from the war. Yesterday, the camel's groan signaled danger, and now a row of date palms could herald a miracle. The world speaks many languages, the boy thought. Okay, so I'm going to load this one, and then I'll read some more. I love you. I love you. I'll see you very soon. Isn't this such a good book? Okay, talk to you later.